9% of humanity is extinct and the rest survive 2,500 years up while monsters roam below. In the near future the world changed forever. Mysterious sinkholes began to appear across the planet, plunging major cities into chaos. From the depths of the earth terrifying monsters emerged. Modern weapons were ineffective against them. Bullets only slightly slowed them down without inflicting serious damage. The monster's sole purpose was to wipe out humanity, leaving only a few survivors. The only place where people could hide was on mountain peaks at an altitude of 2,500 m. 3 years later, in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado at an altitude of 2,360 m. 140 m. below the safe zone, a young boy named Hunter descends into a dangerous area inhabited by monsters. Unafraid of encountering them, he decides to take a walk through the rocky terrain. Finding a spot at the edge of a cliff, Hunter uses binoculars to observe a nearby settlement where those who managed to survive the monster attacks are hiding. He dreams of being there as it's full of children, but he knows how dangerous the journey would be. Suddenly he hears a noise behind him. Realizing it's the monster known as the Reaper in the danger zone, Hunter decides to flee and begins climbing the mountain. The monster pursues him, but fortunately Hunter manages to make it beyond the 2,500 m mark. For some unknown reason the Reaper cannot cross this line despite being just a few meters away from its prey and is forced to retreat. The Lost Canyon Refuge. Population 193, altitude 2,580 mh. Returns to the camp and tells his father what happened. The boy had thought the monsters had fallen back asleep and that it would be safe to descend below the allowed altitude, but his father lied to him, not wanting to scare him with the harsh reality. Will a single father who lost his wife a year ago is willing to do anything to protect Hunter from danger. He lies to his son, giving him false hope. Will begs Hunter not to go any lower again as he has health problems. Hunter needs daily inhalations, and during the run an attack could occur that would leave the boy with no chance of escaping the monster. Later Will goes hunting with the best friend of his late wife. Katie has not only become a reliable friend but the only person Will can trust with his life. During the hunt Katie remains calm and takes a precise shot at a deer. Upon hearing about Hunter's attempt to descend below the safety zone, Katie understands the boy and justifies his actions. Hunter craves the company of his peers, but it's not just that. Exactly a year ago his mother disappeared on this very trail and the boy still hopes to one day find her. Soon it is revealed that a group of 5 people from a neighboring refuge went to the nearby city to find food supplies. Unfortunately no one returned, which means the monsters are still hunting humans. The remnants of humanity are almost doomed to extinction as their resources continue to dwindle. Meanwhile Nina, a former scientist and physicist, continues her own research. She is attempting to alter the properties of bullets by subjecting them to thermal and electrical treatments. Her goal is to create a weapon that can penetrate the monster's protective armor or kill them. Nina carries out her experiments day and night, often frightening others with the sounds of gunfire at night. Will struggles to sleep, still haunted by visions of his late wife. Hearing the sound of the device he realizes that Hunter's inhaler filter has malfunctioned and his son is suffocating. Will quickly replaces the filter to ensure Hunter can breathe and calms him down. To his dismay it's the last filter and he must find a way to get more or his son will die. The only option is to go to the nearby city of Boulder, but it's significantly below the 2,500 m mark and descending there is too dangerous. Knowing that sooner or later he'll have to go to the city hospital, Will spends all his free time with Hunter. He teaches the boy to tend to the garden, fish and hunt. For Hunter's birthday Will buys his son his macaroni and cheese. The boy senses his father's intention to leave the refuge and begs him not to go. Hunter has lost his mother and doesn't want to become an orphan, but Will has no choice. He must do everything to prolong his son's life. That night Hunter falls ill again and the last filter breaks. Will saves his son's life with an injection and realizes that he can no longer delay. He must go down and face the monsters that wiped out 9% of humanity. Will visits Nina to propose that she join him on the journey to the city. The woman, who has a drinking problem, is skeptical about the plan. The journey takes at least 2 days one way and part of it has to be traveled below the safety zone, which is too dangerous. Nina believes they will need to descend into the monster zone dozens of times, but Will has devised a safer route. He is confident they can reach the city with relative safety by descending below 2,500 m. Only twice Will is sure Nina will agree to the risky plan since she lives with a dream of finding a weapon to destroy the monsters and believes they are vulnerable. The scientist miraculously survived her last journey and doesn't want to risk her life again, but Will convinces her to accept the offer. She feels responsible for the death of his wife and must help save Hunter. At night Na recalls her last outing, which resulted in the deaths of dozens of camp residents. She remembers the screams and cries for help and Knows what it's like to face monsters. She was the only one who managed to escape and she doesn't want to tempt fate again. Morning, Will and Nina prepare for the dangerous journey. They receive weapons and armor-piercing bullets which will temporarily slow the monsters, giving them a few precious seconds. Katie decides to join the group, wanting to help. Will find new filters for Hunter's inhaler. Will considers the mission too dangerous and asks her to look after his son, but Katie insists on not letting him go alone. Na doubts that Katie will survive the journey and openly tells her so the two women can't get along, but they must join forces for the common goal. Their first step is to reach the abandoned ski resort and use the ski lift. Katie believes the batteries are dead and can't be fixed, but Will disagrees. The lift would not only allow them to travel faster, but it would also save their energy for the rest of the journey. Soon the group passes the 2,500-met mark, fully aware that the monsters could attack at any moment. Na talks about the tracker and promises to monitor the Reapers, though she knows it won't save them if an attack comes. Quickly descending slightly lower, they find a destroyed convoy of the U.S. Army. In the trunk of one of the vehicles they manage to find bullets and a rocket launcher. It's here that Nina and Katie argue, as the scientist feels guilty for Tara's death and Kat secretly harbors feelings for Will and hopes to get him into bed. Will, the single father, asks them to put aside their conflicts for the mission. Along the way to the resort they notice how nature has flourished without humans. Wild animals roam freely and herds of horses across the fields at the ski resort. The altitude is 2,322 m. It will take at least 15 minutes to reach the safe zone on foot. Realizing this, Will suggests they wait a little longer so he can start the ski lift. Na notices the tracker needle shaking and alerts the group that a monster is nearby. The trio sees a red light flashing through the trees at the edge of the forest and realizes the Reaper has spotted them and is ready to hunt. Katie thinks there's no time to start the lift and urges them to run up the mountain quickly. Will doubts they can outrun the monster and decides to do everything he can to start the lift. For the first time seeing a monster in person, a frightened Katie shoots at it with a rocket launcher. She naively believes the explosion could harm the Reaper, but soon realizes she was mistaken. The rocket shots only anger the monster, causing it to attack the group. At the same time, Will changes the old battery, allowing him to start the ski lift. Once on the lift, Will and Nina shoot the monster in the head, hoping to slow it down, but the Reaper continues to rapidly approach and tries to tear apart the cable to break the lift. This gives Katie a few seconds to climb one of the lift's poles. As the lift passes beneath her, Katie jumps but does so a bit too late. Will grabs her hand just in time, preventing her from falling. The monster continues attacking the lift, causing increasing vibrations which ultimately make Katie fall. Will and Na also jump down to help her reach the 2,500 m mark. The trio, with their last reserves of strength, manages to run to safety, narrowly avoiding the monster. That evening, Na, Will and Katie decide to stay overnight in a resort cabin at an altitude of 2,520 m. Traveling is too dangerous, so there have been no people around for a long time and the supplies of food and alcohol are almost untouched. This allows the trio to drink and relax a little. While discussing the reasons behind the appearance of the monsters, Will suggest that it could be divine punishment for humanity's failure to value life and resources. Katie sees it differently, believing the Reapers have become the top predators in the food chain, with humans being nothing more than food for them. Na, as a scientist, strongly disagrees with these ideas. She understands that the monsters have wiped out almost all of humanity but haven't attacked animals, fish or birds. In her view, the Reaper's sole goal is to exterminate humanity, though the reasons behind such cruelty remain unknown to her. That night, Will struggles to sleep once again, remembering his late wife. A year ago, Tara decided to join Nina's expedition for the same reason as Will, to go to a hospital and find filters for an inhaler, but she failed. The next morning, the trio heads for the mine, the entrance of which is at an altitude of 2,510 m. Will informs them that the mine is 3 kilometers long and they are currently at level 9. To proceed, they will have to descend to level 8, a dangerous move as they will be only sea level. Moreover, Will admits that the level is sinking and they will have to travel 21 m at a height where monsters might be lurking. Na and Katie strongly oppose such a risky journey, especially since the tracker no longer works, meaning they won't be able to detect the Reaper's approach. Will understands their fear but insists there is no turning back and there is no time or opportunity to find an alternative route. Reluctantly agreeing with a single father, Na and Katie decide to proceed through the mine, but at a cautious pace. The reasoning is that the monsters have sensitive receptors that detect carbon dioxide. If the trio runs, the amount of CO2 in the air will increase rapidly, which would only attract the Reapers. After covering some distance, they encounter a sealed door and realize the path ahead is blocked. With no time to go back, the only option is to descend to level S, but this would take them nearly a kilometer below the 2,500 mark. With no choice, the trio decides to go Down to level 7. Before they do, Katie shares her life story. Before the monsters attacked, Na learns that Katie had been in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, raising his hand against her, and sympathizes with her. Descending further, the group continues their journey when they suddenly hear a suspicious sound. Dimming the light of their flashlights, they spot a Renaud. Finding a passage, Nina and Katie start clearing rocks to move forward. At one point, Katie thinks the exit to the next level is close and hurries ahead, but makes a huge mistake. When she returns to the mine, she finds herself right in front of the monster. It immediately pierces her chest with its tentacles and drags her away. Nina and Will grieve for her, but no, they must keep moving as the monster could return for them at any moment. Moments later, Nina spots a ladder allowing them to climb up and escape the mine. That evening, Nina and Will reach the ranger station, where they find not only food and a place to sleep but also an old SUV. During dinner, Na admits that she agreed to join the expedition in order to reach her old laboratory. She believes that certain chemicals could be used to create new bullets that, upon contact with the monster's electrified armor, would create a voltage difference of millions of volts, leading to an explosion. Will doubts that such bullets can be made, but agrees to go to the laboratory as soon as they find Hunter's inhaler filters. The next morning, Will and Nina head to a town located slightly above 1,800 m. They first go to the local tentacles. Will and Nina climb to the next floor, but the monster continues to pursue them. At one point, the Reaper grabs Will, but Nina saves him with an axe. Trying to find a way to slow the monster down, she uses a smoke screen, but Will comes up with a more dangerous and effective idea. Asking Nina to hide, he waits for the monster to attack him and then shoots at oxygen canisters. The resulting explosion sends the Reaper flying out of the window, crashing to the ground. The duo realizes that they likely haven't done much damage to the monster, but they now have time to head to the laboratory. In her lab, Na tests the theory for creating more effective bullets capable of destroying the monsters. She treats a bullet with a special chemical compound and asks Will to wait for a few minutes while she runs an experiment on the Reaper's armor. Will notices a family photo on her desk and realizes that Na has been turning to alcohol because she lost her family on the day of the attack. She had been in the lab studying cobalt properties instead of spending her last moments with her family. Na still blames herself for this, but Will reassures her, telling her that she is not to blame for what happened. Na begins her experiment with the new bullet but fails. She realizes this may be her last chance to create an effective weapon. Resolute, she urges Will to leave her and return to the safe zone, reminding him of his duty to his son and the filters he must deliver for the boy inhaler. She points out the spare car in the parking lot, promising to follow him if her efforts aid. Reluctantly, Will agrees and drives off while Nina continues her experiments focused on her work. Na fails to notice the warning blip of the tracker indicating the monster's approach. She tirelessly processes bullets with various chemical compounds, each attempt ending in failure. At last, she realizes cobalt is the key, but before she can test her theory, the monster attacks her from behind. Meanwhile, Will hurries to the safe zone, but his vehicle suffers a flat tire, causing him to crash. Regaining consciousness, he shatters the windshield and begins climbing the mountain on foot. Hearing the monster sounds, he realizes that several creatures are pursuing him. Higher up, Will finds himself trapped as another Reaper blocks the path ahead. Surrounded, he fires all his bullets, but they have no effect. Accepting his fate, Will brace us for the end when suddenly a shot rings out. One of the Reapers explodes instantly. Nina has arrived. She managed to create the effective bullets just in time and now dispatches the monsters with ease. Together, they examine the remains only to discover the horrifying truth: the monsters are programmed robots sent by aliens to cleanse the planet. Returning to the camp, they flag, signaling to other shelters that they now possess a weapon to fight back. Inspired, humanity begins mass-producing the bullets and forming combat squads. The tide turns as they reclaim their lands, destroying the Reapers one by one. The war against the Reapers is won, but Will and Nina know this is just the beginning. The true enemy, the alien invaders, is on its way. How do limited resources shape decision-making and survival scenarios? In the film, the characters face not only external threats but also critical shortages of food, medicine, and information. What choice would you consider the most rational, and how do you think you would respond in their place? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.